Welcome to the Lessons Learned for Vets podcast page. My name is Lori Norris, and I created this show for you. I want this show to serve as a source of advice and guidance as you navigate the military transition path. I want you to know that you're not alone with what you're going through, and I want you to know that there is only one right way to transition out of the military, and that is the way that you choose to do it. We're just here to help smooth the path ahead of you and advise you about any bumps in the road that you might come across. So if you enjoy this video, please give us a like, subscribe to our page, and I encourage you to go to your favorite podcast provider and listen to the full episode of this show. You can also visit our website at www.ll4forvets.com. I promise you will get some great information. Well, if you haven't yet heard the episode with Dave Nava on how he made that transition from aviation officer in the Navy to being part of the Salesforce ecosystem, you got to go head over to your favorite podcast provider and listen to the whole episode because he's got a lot of really great insights about that. But he is here to talk to us today for the bonus question about personal branding. And Dave, I know you have a lot of thoughts on the subject. You talk a lot about it on LinkedIn and what you put out there. So give me your thoughts on the approach that you take to personal branding.
Not everyone out there, first of all, is convinced of the value of personal branding. So I think it's probably helpful to explain why I think it's a worthwhile activity, because it does, in all honesty, it does take a decent amount of time, right? It's not free. Takes a while to get good at, and takes time out of your day. So when transitioning to a new industry, or even while working in your current one, you want to be able to stand out, right? At all stages of your career, effective personal branding increases your opportunities for employment, for promotions, for speaking engagements, things of that nature. And so I've received all of these as a result of my branding efforts. And obviously, there's other pieces of that as well. You got to work hard in your role, but branding has been a foundational skill that I've learned and applied to get exactly where I want to be within my career. And there's a common misconception out there that branding equals bragging, right? In the military, we're taught that there's no I in team. You promote the accomplishments of your sailors, your Marines, your soldiers, your airmen, your coasties above yourself, right? And I'm here to tell you that personal branding isn't about telling everyone how great you are. It's not. It's about communicating the value that your experience and expertise can bring to an organization to help solve their challenges. Absolutely everyone has value, and you shouldn't be shy about sharing that with your professional community, right? So there is value in being part of a team, but at some point you have to talk to, with confidence, employers about why you specifically have value. When we're talking about branding, there's numerous ways to brand yourself. With this new world of online and virtual work, it made sense to me, at least, to leverage social media to communicate my value, especially in this post-pandemic era, right? And there's numerous different channels where you can brand yourself. But if you think about it, what is the world's premier professional networking space, right? There's no question there. It's LinkedIn, right? If you want a job, you go to LinkedIn. And so that's where you should get started. And so if you're going to break the process of branding down into its components, you have to think about three things: your profile, your network, and your content. And they all work together. You move one of those, it all kind of falls apart. It's like a triangle, even though I just made a square with my hands. It's like a triangle. So with your profile, and I'll kind of go really quickly through. I could talk about this for hours. And there are over 30 videos on branding on my YouTube channel if you want to get into some of the more specifics. But for your profile, right, your LinkedIn profile, if you think about it, is your virtual living resume. And if you ask me, it's more important than your resume because more people will see it, right? All aspects of your profile should be well organized, complete, concise, and obviously grammatically correct. I see a lot of typos in people's profiles. Go fix those. I encourage my mentees to place added importance on the top half of the page. And so for folks that read newspapers, like the leading story, where is it? it's on the top
Above the
half of the
fold.
page,
Mhm.
exactly above the fold. And that's where you want your most impactful stuff. And that's where LinkedIn knows that. So they've put your picture, they've put your headline, right? They've put your background picture, your education, those little links next to your face.
Yep.
That's above the fold. And so that's where you want to spend time, because what do recruiters do? They come to your LinkedIn profile, they're looking above the fold, they spend 5 seconds, right? And in that 5 seconds, they're deciding, does this person have value in the context of the challenges my company is facing? And if they don't, on to the next. And how can they tell if you have value? The only way you can show them is through your picture, through your headline, through your title. And if after that 5 seconds they decide, okay, this person's interesting, then maybe they scroll down. It's not guaranteed. So you got to capture that attention. With that, in mind, work on your profile every single week. I still do. I'm gainfully employed, and I still work on it every single week, because stale does not sell well, right? Your profile should be constantly evolving. You're constantly learning, or you should be. Things are changing in your professional life. Your profile needs to reflect that. There's nothing more embarrassing than being in an interview and your stuff's way out of date and you get called on it. Ugh. So set a calendar invite to yourself every Saturday. Go update your stuff. Second piece, network, right? It's important that your network is built upon relevant connections, right? You want to connect with people, and only with people in your professional community who can inform, advance, or otherwise add value to your professional goals and your path. Resist the urge to accept every single connection request. And I would say, grow your network every single day by sending out targeted connection requests. And what I mean by targeted is, choose the folks, again, that are going to add value, and then send them a brief personalized note with each request, sharing why you'd like them to be a part of your professional network. And that will greatly increase your chances of them accepting it. And then I'll close this kind of piece by saying, be judicious with who you, being judicious with who you connect with is important, because what does that do? Right? It defines what you see in your feed and who sees what is in your feed. So, your brand can't be as effective as it needs to be if the people who are in a position to help you with your goals aren't seeing what you're posting in your feed. And what I mean by that is, like, I'm a Salesforce professional. If everyone in my network is, say, a plumber, and I post content, they're not going to be interested in it because it's not about plumbing. And they post content, I'm not going to care because it's not about plumbing. And they can't help me advance my career because they're not in my industry. So extreme example, but keep that in mind. And then the final piece, what ties it all together and what a lot of people forget or don't know how to do or just are afraid of, is putting yourself out there and creating content. You cannot have a vibrant brand if you're not producing content. I'll say that just flat out. Because think about it. If you're not creating content and sharing it with your network, no one knows you're alive. I have 16,000 plus, folks in my network, and I don't know all 16,000. How could I? Who do I know? I know the people that consistently post, because when I get on LinkedIn every day, 10, 15 times, that's who I see. That's who I interact with. And when opportunities come up, that's who I think about. And it will be the same for you, right? So if you're creating content, if you're creating relevant quality content consistently, week over week, when things come up with your network, people are going to know you. You're going to have developed a reputation for yourself, and opportunities are going to come your way. Employment, promotion, speaking engagements, all that type of stuff. So it draws people to your profile, and it provides a path for them to connect with you and to create those professional relationships. And so I'll close it up with a couple best practices. When you're creating content, be consistent and persistent. It takes time, right? It's not going to take a couple of weeks. It could take months before you start to see a result. It will happen. Post every week, a few times per week if you can. Recognize your audience and post appropriate content based upon what they're going to be interested in. And then for everyone that comes to your post and they respond with a comment, follow up with gratitude, right? React to their comment and send them a personalized note. That's going to convince them to keep coming back. People are going to see that. They're going to want to connect with you. It's good. It's good online social media manners. And then the final thing, and I know I've been going on for a while, but the very last thing is say yes to opportunities. So some of these things are going to be outside your comfort zone. That's okay. Look for those things that are stretch goals. Maybe it's a speaking engagement. Hey, do you want to come speak at our event? Ooh, I've never spoken before. I'm afraid of public speaking. Say yes. Do it. Get over the fear, and it will enrich your professional life.
Kind of like some random lady reaching out and saying, hey, do you want to be on my podcast, right? Say yes.
Yeah, say yes.
Well, I appreciate you saying yes and coming and sharing all of your knowledge with us today. So thank you so much, Dave.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for watching the video today. Have you subscribed to our channel yet? Did you leave us a comment? Have you listened to the full episode of the podcast on your favorite podcast provider? We sure would appreciate it if you would do all of these things to support us today.